Hi, welcome to the Region 13 School Nursing Peer Review Annual Training. My name is Kristen Wickets, and I will be taking you through this training. Before we get started, I want to take a quick moment and recognize the people listed at the bottom of the slide and thank them for their time and dedication they put in to creating this PowerPoint so I can present it to you. We have 3 objectives. The first objective is an overview and understanding of the purpose and function of nursing peer review. To quote the Board of Nursing, the peer review rules are the most difficult to understand. Number 2, understand the role of a peer review committee and its committee members. Not only are the rules difficult to understand, but as school nurses, we practice in a highly autonomous environment. We are not in a structured, predictable setting. Number 3, review the Region 13 peer review plan and the process for a nurse under an incident-based peer review or when requesting safe harbor. To add to the uncertainty, we have other school laws that affect our practice as school nurses, such as TEA rules and regulations, as well as health department laws. So methods for maintaining nursing practice standards, such as the Board of Nursing. Like many professions that are regulated by boards and licensing agencies, such as lawyers, architects, and plumbers, the BON regulates the practice of our registered nurses, LVNs, and APNs. There's private lawsuits. They set precedents for acceptable practice standards, like Lunsford versus the Board of Nursing. It was determined that Nurse Lunsford was accountable for her own practice regardless of what the ER doctor's orders were. We have peer review. Our nursing standards are found in the board rules 217.11 and 217.12. Peer review looks to see if any of the standards have been violated. Here's a very general definition of peer review. Nursing peer review is the evaluation of nursing services, the qualifications of a nurse, the quality of patient care rendered by nurses, the merits of a complaint concerning a nurse or nursing care, and a determination or recommendation regarding a complaint. The purpose of nursing peer review. Peer review was started in 1987 in Texas. It started in part to give nurses the opportunity to monitor themselves apart from and before a BON review. Separates minor incidents from those that need to come to the BON for review. Peer review really became important in 1982 with the Federal Peer Review Improvement Act and the Healthcare Quality Improvement Act of 1986 as a means to improve patient care by tracking bad doctors. Region 13 started its peer review committee and work in 2009, and the plan has recently been updated to reflect the changes that have taken place over the past several years. Our plan is now up to date with current guidance by the Board of Nursing. The peer review process focuses on obtaining all relevant information about an event. Once the committee concludes its work, they issue a report to the district chief nursing officer or other entities as required. The district chief nursing officer is defined as the registered nurse by any title who is administratively responsible for the nursing services in the district as the chief nursing officer. On this slide, we're going to focus on locating the law. Other statutes and rules also affect nursing practice, but these represent the main body of law and rules. Nursing Practice Act, Professional Nursing Quality Assurance Act, and Licensure Peer Assistance in Practice. Review of Chapter 303 of the Texas Occupations Code, which is nurse peer review law, in its entirety is recommended in order to ensure compliance with due process and good faith nursing peer review requirements. Texas Administration Code 217.19 delineates specific requirements for minimum due process during an IB-NPR. Community membership and voting requirements are described in the Texas Occupational Code 303.003 and the Texas Administrative Code 217.19. I'm going to walk you through the difference between the Texas Occupational Code and the Texas Administrative Code. Chapter 301 of the Texas Occupations Code contains the Nursing Practice Act, which creates the BON and defines its responsibility for regulating nursing education, licensure, and practice. Chapter 303 relates to nursing peer review, and Chapter 304 relates to the Nurse Licensure Compact. These chapters of the Texas Occupational Code define nursing practice and give the board the authority to make rules which implement and interpret the Nursing Practice Act. Licensees are required to comply with the Nursing Practice Act and the board rules. The Nurses Practice Act and the rules are amended from time to time. Only the legislature can change the Nurses Practice Act, so statutory changes only occur every 2 years. The board makes rules and changes as needed to assist in the application of the Nurses Practice Act to the evolving practice conditions and setting. It is necessary, therefore, that you keep up with these changes. Texas Administrative Code in compliance of all state agency rules in Texas. There are 16 titles in the Texas Administrative Code. Each title represents a subject category, and related agencies are assigned to the appropriate title. The Office of the Secretary of State compiles, indexes, and makes the code available. The organization, structure, and responsibilities of the Texas Board of Nursing are contained in Title 22, Part 11, Chapters 211 to 228, generally referred to as the BON rules. They will be discussed in the next section, most notably Rule 217.11. Let's define what a nursing peer review committee is. It is a committee established under the authority of the governing body of a national, state, or local nursing association, a school of nursing, the nursing staff of a hospital, health science center, nursing home, home health agency, temporary nursing service, or other healthcare facility, or state agency or political subdivision for the purpose of conducting nursing peer review. The nursing peer review process is one of fact-finding, analysis, and study of events by nurses in a climate of collegial problem-solving focused on obtaining all relevant information about an event. Conducting nursing peer review. Peer review is conducted by a committee made up largely of nurses. Peer review applies to RNs, LVNs, and APNs. Confidential, must have 5 members present in addition to the PRC chair. When reviewing an LVN, at least 2 must be present. There are 5 types of circumstances in which the conduct cannot be considered a minor incident and should be reported directly to the Board of Nursing. 1. Conduct that ignores a substantial risk and that exposed a patient or other person to significant physical, emotional, or financial harm or the potential for such harm. 2. Conduct that violates the Texas Nurses Practice Act or the board rule and contributed to the death or serious injury of a patient. 3. A practice-related violation involving impairment or suspected impairment by reason of chemical dependency, intemperate use, misuse, or abuse of drugs or alcohol, mental illness, or diminished mental capacity. 4. A violation of Board Rule 217.12, unprofessional conduct, with actions that constitute abuse, exploitation, fraud, or a violation of professional boundaries. Or 5, actions that indicate the nurse lacks knowledge, skill, judgment, or conscientiousness to such an extent that the nurse's continued practice of nursing could reasonably be expected to pose a risk of harm to a patient or another person, regardless of whether the conduct consists of a single incident or pattern of behavior. Criminal conduct as defined in the Nurses Practice Act. Types of peer review. There are 2 types of peer review. Incident-based peer review, IBPR, minor incidents. Safe Harbor peer review, SHPR. Both types of review accumulate with a report that may or may not go to the Board of Nursing. Incident-based peer review process. IBPR shall be utilized to identify nursing errors, detect patterns of practice, and take corrective action to remediate deficits in the nurse's judgment, knowledge, training, or skills. The IBPR shall be utilized to determine if a nurse's action, be it a single event or multiple events, such as in reviewing up to 5 minor incidents by the same nurse within a year's period of time, should be reported to the board. Or if the nurse's conduct does not require reporting because the conduct constitutes a minor incident that can be remediated. The review includes whether external factors beyond the nurse's control may have contributed to any deficiency in care by the nurse, and to report such finding to the district as applicable. It's to be noted, peer review is not meant to be punitive or adversarial. Determining a minor incident. Nurse responsibility for reporting an error. Flow chart for determining if an error is a minor incident. Both these links have been added to this YouTube channel for your reference at the end of the PowerPoint. How to initiate a peer review. Request for peer review. A district request for peer review is made by the CNO by contacting the TSNO Region 13 peer review chair in writing via confidential email. No confidential information should be included. Instructions for filing details associated with the report will be provided once the request is received. The district will be required to submit the initial report of nurse conduct form or minor incident tracking tool. Requests for incident-based peer review shall be made in good faith. Information presented to and or considered by the incident-based peer review committee is required to be kept confidential and may not be disclosed except as provided by law. Responsibilities of peer review committee in an incident-based peer review: receive complaint, investigate, interview, gather documents, provide notice to nurse and set a hearing, afford the nurse the following rights: opportunity to attend the hearing and ask questions, review document, witness list, statements, bring counsel or representative, present evidence, testimony, and submit rebuttal to decision. The procedures and logistics should be in the peer review plan. These are your rights when under review. Responsibilities of the peer review committee, incident-based peer review: conduct hearing, evaluate evidence and testimony, consider external factors, issue a written decision, report to the Board of Nursing as necessary. Incident-based peer review committee determination: the committee will complete its evaluation and notify the nurse in writing of its determination within 14 calendar days from the date of the peer review hearing. Let's review the incident-based peer review timelines. Conduct a hearing 21 to 45 days from the date of notice to nurse. Document review at least 15 days pre-hearing. Counsel designation at least 7 days pre-hearing. Witness list statements at least 48 hours pre-hearing. Decision issued within 14 days of hearing. Decision to nurse within 10 days of issuance. Rebuttal by nurse within 10 days of receipt. Again, how quickly the peer review committee moves on complaints should be spelled out in your plan. This finishes incident-based peer review. The next 3 slides, we will focus on reporting to the Board of Nursing. If impairment is suspected, suspend proceeding. Report to BON if a violation is involved. Report to BON or peer assistance program if no violation is involved. Continue to investigate further factors beyond nurse's control or at work. In this situation, you would be looking for external factors for the board to consider in their investigation. Reporting to the Board of Nursing continued. If employer has reported nurse to the BON, continue examining external factors. After hearing is conducted, there is no report to the BON if no violation occurred or if the violation was a minor incident that nurse remediates by taking corrective action. If external factors at work, peer review committee reports these to the patient safety committee or the CNO. The chief nursing officer is typically an RN responsible for school nursing services, but in those districts without a CNO, it would be the administrator in charge of school nurses. If reportable conduct is determined to have occurred, peer review committee submits its determination to the Board of Nursing, including recommendation for disciplinary action. Report includes any rebuttal statement by the nurse as long as it's submitted within 10 days from the hearing determination. The board wants concise reports with detailed information. What should the report include? Name of nurse, description of conduct being reported, corrective actions taken against nurse, recommendation as to disciplinary actions, extent to which incident was due to factors beyond nurse's control. Moving to Safe Harbor peer review. Safe Harbor peer review is a nursing peer review process that a nurse may initiate when asked to engage in an assignment or conduct that the nurse believes in good faith would potentially result in a violation of Nursing Practice Act or board rules. When invoked in good faith, Safe harbor protects a nurse from employer retaliation, suspension, termination, discipline, discrimination, and from a licensure sanctioned by the Board of Nursing. Safe harbor must be invoked prior to engaging in the conduct or assignment for which nursing peer review is requested, and may be invoked at any time during the work period when the initial assignment changes. The general purpose of safe harbor is to allow a nurse to accept an assignment when she or he has reason to believe the patient is at risk and the nurse needs protection of their license. Examples of safe harbor situations include clinical assignments related to staffing and or acuity of patients when the nurse believes patient harm may result and can involve a request to engage in unprofessional or illegal conduct, such as falsifying medical record documents. Requesting safe harbor. With employer required to have a peer review committee, a nurse may, in good faith, request a peer review committee determination. Pending review, nurse may engage in conduct and may not be sanctioned by the Board of Nursing. Nurse must request safe harbor prior to engaging in conduct or assignment, when situation has changed, when refusing to provide a service, must notify the chief nursing officer, must file a short form and a long form. Safe harbor also allows for a nurse to request that a determination be made on the medical reasonableness of a physician's order. There is a separate form for requesting a determination regarding the medical reasonableness of a physician's order. A nurse who in good faith requests safe harbor peer review, 1, may not be suspended, terminated, or otherwise disciplined, retaliated, or discriminated against for making the request. 2, may engage in the requested conduct pending the nursing peer review. 3, may not be reported to the board for engaging in the conduct awaiting the peer review determination. And 4, may not be disciplined by the board for engaging in that conduct while the nursing peer review committee determination is pending. Refusal rights. Nurse may refuse, with regard to patient care, conduct that is reportable to the Board of Nursing. Nurse must notify at time of refusal that reason is because it violates law or rules. Employer may not retaliate. If a peer review committee is in place, nurse may request peer review determination. Nurse's right to refuse may not be contracted away. Things to remember. At all times, nurses have these rights whether or not there is a peer committee. If an employer takes adverse action and peer review committee supports the nurse, it's liable for penalties unless employer takes it all back. If the peer review committee does not support the nurse, nurse may be subject to employer's adverse action. The quick request requirements. Quick request written form. Safe harbor quick request form, Texas Board of Nursing. Requesting nurse and signature, date and time, location, practice setting, name of person requesting the conduct, brief reason why safe harbor is being requested. This must be submitted before engaging in the conduct or assignment. Things to remember. The Board of Nursing has forms in place as a convenience, but these are not required. Let's review an example. Today, I was asked by a charge nurse to provide a procedure in which I have not been trained to a patient in a serious condition. I am familiar with a similar procedure, but I'm concerned that with my unfamiliarity with this procedure, it may create an unacceptable risk to the patient. Now let's review what information is required on the comprehensive report. The comprehensive report must be completed by the end of your shift or workday. Who asked you to do what conduct? The practice setting. Detailed description of why conduct violates the duty to the patient or law or rules. Rationale for refusing or not wanting to engage in conduct. Copies of relevant documents. Nurse's name, title, relationship to supervisor, assigning, or requesting the conduct. Please keep a copy of this for yourself. Let's review medical reasonableness. The medical reasonableness form you will complete when you question the medical reasonableness of a physician's order with regard to accuracy, safety, and/or effectiveness of an order for a given patient or set of patients. Example, nurse believes carrying out the physician's order may violate the nurse's duty to the patient to provide a safe environment for the patient. It is the nurse's responsibility to keep a copy of the request he or she submits for review. Note, safe harbor can also be used to request a review of medical reasonableness of a doctor's order. Let's review safe harbor protections. An employer may not sanction a nurse who requests safe harbor in good faith. Nurse may not be reported or sanctioned by the Board of Nursing while a safe harbor review is pending. A nurse's representative is also protected if the safe harbor is submitted as a group. Please note, a nurse's representative can be a coworker. What protections of a nurse's license are applicable under safe harbor? A nurse who in good faith requests safe harbor nursing peer review, 1, may not be suspended, terminated, or otherwise disciplined, retaliated, or discriminated against for making the request. 2, may engage in the requested conduct pending the nursing peer review. 3, may not be reported to the board for engaging in the conduct awaiting the nursing peer review determination. And 4, may not be disciplined by the board for engaging in that conduct while the nursing peer review committee determination is pending. Peer review committee in a safe harbor review. Employer must have in place a written safe harbor policy. Peer review committee must meet membership, voting, and exclusion requirements. The nurse has the right to requesting review, must be allowed to attend, ask questions, and submit statements. Safe harbor timelines. Peer review committee provides its review within 14 days to the chief nursing officer. Chief nursing officer provides decision within 48 hours to requesting nurse, either agreeing or disagreeing. Nurse's protective status ends 48 hours after receiving the decision. Protection from retaliation for requesting safe harbor remains in place. Please note, protection is from board action, but not civil lawsuits. Peer review committee findings are confidential and not shared with the litigant's attorney. This concludes the annual peer review training. I want to thank you for taking your time and listening to this presentation. Please take note of my contact information and email me with any questions you have regarding this training. The following slide will have a QR code that you will need to scan and complete the Google form embedded in order to receive credit for participating in this training. The last 2 slides are resources I referenced throughout the training. I have embedded these links into this YouTube channel for you to have as a resource and refer to as needed. Thank you again for participating in the Peer Review Committee annual training for Region 13.